we're going to start off by talking about mid-segment again. So if you don't have these notes well from yesterday, please go ahead and, I have to rotate the screen. Please go ahead and write these notes down. When we talk about mid-segment, we're talking about triangles. And it does not matter how your triangle looks. It does not have to be an equilateral triangle. This is the notes that we're doing. Remember, we're doing notes first. So when we have mid-segment, I asked you to think about the midpoints of triangles. And the other thing we talked about is we look for the hidden parallelogram. And I know some of you weren't here yesterday, so you can write this down. How we talked about it is you find the midpoint of each side. So I'm going to just estimate. It might not be perfect, but that's okay. And then once you have the midpoint of each side, if we connect these segments, we can find a hidden parallelogram. So what we talked about, well, if this number is 4, we know that parallelograms, the opposite sides are equal. So if this is 4, this has to be 4. Now, because this is the midpoint, if this is 4, this is also 4. So you're looking at this line here is parallel to this side, and each of these are the same measure. So technically speaking, the length of this whole long line is 8. It's just twice whatever this is. Then if we had like the number 7 here, obviously this is not drawn to scale. Here's our parallelogram still. If this is 7, that means this side has to be 7. And because this is a midpoint, if this is 7, then this is also 7. So this whole side is 14, which I got from either 7 plus 7 is 14 or this 7 times 2, because 1 long equals 2 short. So when you go from long to short, you divide by 2. When you go from short to long, you multiply by 2. And we're going to do similar things when we get to circles in Unit 4. That's big to small, and small to big is always by 2. I'm going to draw this green line right here. This green line gives me this kind of parallelogram that's hidden inside. So if I had this be 8 here, this green, God bless you, and this green makes this 8. This is a midpoint, so this is 8. And then when I do all of it, I get my 16. So please turn your packets to page 3. We're going to look at number 10. So it says QR is a mid-segment. Focus. Not as focused. QR is a mid-segment of triangle LMN. And then it says if QR is 9, find NM. This question right here is almost exactly like what will be on your test. So if we go small to big, what do we do with our number? Multiply by what? 2. So if QR is 9, how long is NM? That's literally the first question of your test with different numbers. Your easy test. It says LN, this long thing is 12. And it tells you LM is 31. And it wants you to find the perimeter. So how do you find perimeter of a triangle? This is like 4th grade. Add. Yeah. Do I add the 9 in also? No. Why? It's inside, not outside. So that gives me 30, 61. So this was 18, and this is 61. Because 12 plus 18 is 30. And then 30 plus 31 is 61. So 10B is 61. Well, ma'am. Okay, so you don't add the 9. Nope, because the 9 is on the inside. So when we do perimeter, we add up all the outside. Okay. Area you won't have to do on this. You can't do an area of a scaling triangle unless you had the altitude for the height, which is the line that goes straight down and has a right angle. Not necessarily. It's not perpendicular bisector. It's just a perpendicular. Okay, next, number 11. Use the given measures to identify 3 pairs of parallel segments. Yes, I'll take it. In each diagram. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so basically, and this is something you will also have to do. Here's AB. Which side is probably parallel to AB that's inside the triangle?
HJ.
This is a J, or this is an I. So HI. Because remember, parallel lines never intersect. So you're not going to pick GH because GH is going to touch AB. So you wouldn't pick that one. Yes, ma'am. So if I have AC, which letter is the line inside that doesn't touch AC?
GH.
GH. Bless you. If I have GI here, then I'm going to have BC. And the order doesn't matter. One doesn't have to go before the next. I don't anymore. I'm sorry. Okay, so that would be the parallel lines. Ma'am.
Okay, this is my thing. But isn't G and B on the same line?
But it's not. Here is the GI. This is GI. And then this is BC. So, like, technically they're on the same purple line, but we're not talking about the purple line. Now we're talking about the green line. Good questions. Ma'am. Okay. Do we need to do number 12 or do we understand the parallel line thing? One person says, so real quick, here's PQ. The long line that it's not going to touch is KZ or XC. Wow. Here we have QR. The long line it's not going to touch is XY. That does not look like a blue marker anymore. Here's PR. The long line it's not going to touch is YZ or YZ. All right, let's flip the page. You do not have to do number 1. It won't be like anything on your easy test or your hard test. So let's cross out number 1. Okay, so let's look at number 2. The diagram below, the vertices of DEF are midpoints. And here's our favorite word, equilateral. I think one of the classes we did do this problem yesterday. And it said that the perimeter is 36. So because it says equilateral, what does that tell me about the sides? The sides are all equal. So I know that this side here, I'm going to call it X, is the same length as this side, which I'll call X, which is the same length as this side, which I'll call X. So how do we find perimeter again? Add all the sides. So I'm writing more steps than you might need to, but I'm going to have X plus 3X, and it tells me the perimeter is 36. So now we're going to have 3X equals 36. X equals 12. Now here's the catch though. It wants us to find the length of EF. Yes, it would be 6. Great job. EF is right here. It's parallel to this side. If this side is 12, whenever we go big to small, we divide by 2. So 12 divided by 2 gives me the 6. You will have a question like this on your challenging test with different numbers. All right, let's go on. Okay, number 3. This says an isosceles triangle, RST. RS and RT are the same, so I'm going to make them both green. And for our purposes, I'll just call them both X. We know that it's isosceles, so we know that this is going to be different. So I'm going to just color a different color, and I'm just going to write Y. I don't know why, but just so you guys know it's different. Okay, MN are midpoints of RS and RT, and MN is drawn. If MN is 3.5, and the perimeter, I'm just going to put P for perimeter, is 25, how do we find the length of NT? And so we're finding this length right here. So first, let's take the 3.5 because that's the only other number they gave us. So how long is Y?
7.
How do we get 7? Yep, small to big, we multiply by 2. Okay, technically speaking, if you want the formula, it would be ST equals 2MN. But if you, I just like thinking small to big time is you multiply by 2. So now we can have our equation. X plus 7 equals 25. When we simplify, we get 2x plus 7 equals 25. Subtract 7 from both sides. Divide both sides by 2. Is 9 my answer? Why? I heard a yes and a no. Yep, so that's Leah's voice. That's fantastic. We know this whole thing is 9. We only want this piece of it. So how long is the piece? How do we get 4.5? Excellent. Big to small, we divide. That's a 5, not a 6. 4.5. So far, so good? Are we understanding the hard? Do we understand the easy ones that we did on the other side? Like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How do we understand the easy ones? 4s, 5s. How are we understanding 0? How are we understanding the hard ones?
Which one's hard?
These are the harder ones. 3, 4. Okay. All right, let's keep looking. In the diagram below, AB triangle ABC, D is the mid segment. It tells us that DE is 7. It tells us that AB is 10. And it tells us BC is 13. You might have like one of these on your easy test. And it wants the perimeter. So how do I find my last side? What do I multiply by 2? Why? Because why? Small to big. And then remember, the mid segment is always, the longer side is always 2 mid segments. So it's like the mid segment to the longer side. So we're doubling the mid segment. So here's the mid segment is 7, doubling it is 14, 13 and 14 is 27, and 10 is 37. Did it suddenly get cold in here?
No.
You're hot?
No.
You're cold. Okay, you might have a problem like number 6. So let's skip number 5. I don't think we need another triangle perimeter. So you can cross 5 out. Let's look at number 6, please. Okay. In the diagram below, triangle ACT, D is the midpoint of AC, O is the midpoint of AT, G is the midpoint of CT, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it tells us on the bottom, AC is 10. And the reason why they told you what all the midpoints were is to just prove to you, Nayla, that they're mid-segments. So that's why they gave us that information. So AC is 10. AT is 18. And then CT is 22. It wants us to find the perimeter of parallelogram CDOG. So, what do we need to know? Who's got ideas? Olivia? Okay, how long this Which sides do you want to do first? CD, how long is CD? How did you get 5? Divided 10 by 2. Who can give me DO? How long is DO right here? Excellent. How long is OG?
It's 32.
And then this is 11. So you add 11 and 11 is 22. 22 and 10 is... Too fast, or do we need to do that again? Good?
Wow.
Yeah. So all we did is we found the lengths of the mid-segments, the parallel sides, and then we added up the black numbers. And we got the black numbers because those were like either the midpoints of the side of the triangle or the length of the mid-segment. Okay, you will have one like number 7 on your challenging test. In the diagram, we have all the midpoints. AB is 20. BC is 12. AC is 16. And it wants us to find the perimeter of trapezoid A, B, E, F. So it's different than the parallelogram, but you still have to do what to the sides? What operation? If it's a perimeter, we still add, even though it's a trapezoid. So let's find our missing sides. Well, we need the whole bottom, so that's fine. How do we get this top part? How long is FE? 10. How did you get 10 again? Divide by 2. How long is AF? 8. How do we get 8? Because F is the midpoint. And then how do we get BC or whatever? BE? 6. So you've got 10 and 20 is 30. 30 and 14 is 44. Okay, we're going to skip everything to question number 12. Because all the other questions are similar to what you've already been doing. In the diagram below, triangle ABC, D is the midpoint, E is the midpoint. AC equals 4x plus 10. How do we figure out how long DE is? Who has an idea how to do this? Yeah, Sean. Divide what? Divide by 2. Divide what by 2? We divide the entire expression by 2. So if you have 4x plus 10, we divide this by 2, and we have to divide this by 2, because we can't just divide the 4x. So that's what makes it a trick question. So you would have 2x plus 5. Yeah? Way to go. So you will have one like this on the test, the challenging test. Okay, let's go to 13. Triangle ABC. D is the midpoint, blah, 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 midpoints. AC is 3x minus 15. DE is 6. What's X? How do we do this? Start again.
put the expression on one side, the thing on the other side, so I go with it.
So one person said it should be this. Kyra. You could do that. You could do 3x minus 15 divided by 2 equals 6. How do I get rid of the divided by 2, though? You multiply by 2. So if we multiply this side by 2, ladies, you were doing fantastic. Make sure you're talking about math. Excuse me. So these cancel out. So you're left with 3x minus 15 equals 12. Now, what I would have done instead is I would have already multiplied the 6 by 2. So I would have just done 6 times 2, and I knew it was 12, and I would have started here. But you could also do it this way. That's an absolutely accurate way to do it. Okay? We add 15 to both sides. I'm not going to write that step, but that gives you 27. Divide both sides by 3, and what do we get? X equals 9. You're right. Okay, so you can do it like this and divide by 2, or you could have already done the multiplication and solved it that way. Okay, now we're going to switch to 14. You got a brain break in about 6 minutes. Okay, so here we go. We have all the midpoints. They tell us this value, and they want the length of VC. So this is one where I would, instead of doing division, I would just do multiplication. I would have this whole thing 7x minus 3, but I know, Alusine, that is 2 times this segment. So I'm going to write 2 times the 3x plus 1, which is really what I did up here. Up here, I multiplied by 2 after I wrote the division. I'm just doing the multiplying first. 2 shorts equals 1 long. 2 shorts, 1 long. Then you have to remember to distribute, though. 6x plus 2, 7x minus 3. I always like to, excuse me, we're going to be stopping with this, and I don't want to see that. So I always like to move the smaller x. So I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. Add 3 and get x equals 5. Is that my answer? Why? They want us to find VC. So you can do it a couple ways. You can plug 5 into this one and then divide by 2. Or plug it into the top, right? Because remember, each one of these pieces are the same. If this is 5, this is 5, this is 5. So I'm just going to plug it into the top because that's what makes the most sense. But if you wanted, you could plug it into the bottom and then divide by 2. So that means I have, I don't know where I'm going to write it. 3x plus 1. Plug in the 5. 15 plus 1 is 16. Oh, that's what you meant. It's 3. Yeah, it's 3.
Okay, well, I just got one more question.
Ma'am.
Okay, so why did you say to multiply by 2 in the beginning?
Because 2 shorts equals 1 long. So I also, if I wanted to, I could have written it 7x minus 3 equals 3x plus 1 plus 3x plus 1. Because it's 2 shorts equals 1 long. Okay? All right, guys, hold on for 1 second, please.